The following is a presentation of the Fellowship Church at Anthem, a community of faith, love, and hope. For more information, please visit fellowshipanthem.com.
We absolutely have the most versatile band in the history of bands for our church. Josh and Nikki. On Wednesday night, we're playing downtown at a worship venue called Renew. They were down there with about 30 other worship bands from around the city of Phoenix, and they were obviously the stars. Obviously. And then last night, they played at Martini Ranch in Scottsdale, and once again, they were the stars. And then today, they're here singing for us and communicating great words of truth. It's interesting, one of the sort of the diagnostic tools that I use to help people grow is a test called StrengthsFinder. And it was developed by the Gallup organization a few years ago. And what's really interesting about it is it identifies our strengths, and it gives us some deep clues into how we think and then subsequently how we act. And one of my top 5 strengths out of 34 that are listed wouldn't be a surprise to most of you that, well, maybe some of you would be, but it's communicator. It's one of the things that I do pretty easily and without a lot of, it's just one of my strong suits. But one of Josh's top 5s is also communicator. And here's what's really interesting. If I asked Josh to come up and give a talk one Sunday, he would study for a year to give one 30-minute talk. And yet, for him to pick up a microphone or a guitar or write lyrics that communicate powerful messages to us, he doesn't even really have to think about it. Now, for me to pick up a microphone and a guitar and write lyrics to a song, you would go screaming out of here. You'd be like, my God, what's wrong with this man? And it's interesting to see the way God uses communication strengths in different ways. To take these powerful things that we call words and to use them to impact the lives of people around us. Whether it's through a song, whether it's through a written talk, oratory talk, or whether it's through a book, whether it's through a poem. God has always used words. You remember back in Genesis when God was in the process of creating all the things that we know, He spoke those things into existence. He said, hey, let's have stars, and stars existed. And let's have planets, and boom, planets existed. And so God used the power of word to create. And that's not any different for us today. The life that you're living today is ultimately a life that you have created with your words. Your words are right on target. They have been the creation source for the life that you're living today. And some of us are living lives of pain, and if we trace it back in moments where our words got derailed, we got off track. They were not aligned with God's truth. And so we're suffering, maybe, or it feels as though we're suffering. So I want to talk a little bit today about our agreements, our 4 agreements. You know, all of us live our lives by certain kinds of agreements. And if you're following along, I recommended the book to you last week. If you're following along the book, the 4 agreements, you'll know that one of those agreements is about coming to terms, in other words, writing a contract with yourself about the way you live based on the way you think. We all have personal agreements that we make with ourselves. One of my personal agreements in life, I've had this for a long time now, is that I don't loan anything to anybody. It's one of my personal policies. People ask me, hey, can I borrow this or that? I'm like, no, I don't loan my stuff out. But what I do is I give it away. So if you want to borrow something from me, just ask me, and I'll say, no, I'm not going to loan it to you, but you can have it. I just find that it's easier that way. That way, if it doesn't come back, I got no strings attached to it. No, but you can have it. So like the other day, someone called in and they asked me, hey, can I borrow your Vitamixer? Now, if you don't have a Vitamixer, it's the world's greatest blender. But it'll grind up anything. I put like gravel in it, a cat that we didn't need anymore. It's awesome. It's a great machine, and it'll grind up anything. It'll make all kinds of anything. And someone called and said, hey, can I borrow your Vitamixer? I said, no, you can't, but you can have it. And like, what are you going to make? And I said, well, I'm going to make some pesto. And I'm like, oh, you're in awesome shape, because it makes amazing pesto. So I dropped it off at their house. And I said, you can have it. If you want to give it back, that's fine, but if you don't, it's all yours. Well, the next day I come back up to my house, and my Vitamixer is on my front porch. But it's there with some pesto. So sometimes the karmic energy of the universe comes full circle, doesn't it? And it brings us back what we give away. We all have agreements. That's just one of my agreements with myself. It's just easier to live that way. I really don't have to keep track of everything. Hey, who's got my such and such, and where's my so-and-so? It's like, no, I just give it away, and if you want it, great. If you want to bring it back, fine. If you don't, sometimes people bring me stuff like, hey, I borrowed your whatever, and I'm like, no, you didn't borrow mine because I gave it away, and I didn't even remember I had one of those, so thanks for bringing it back. And it's like a gift. It's like Christmas all over again. But our agreements that we make with ourselves are oftentimes belief systems that get forged very early on in life for us. Someone says something to you with a word, and it gets stuck in your mind, and it gets stuck in your psyche, and it begins to shape the way you think about yourself, and consequently then the way you live your life. Because as kids, we don't really have a filter for what we're going to believe or not believe. When you're a kid and someone says to you, you are ugly, you don't have a filter that goes, I am not ugly. I am made in the image of God. I am beautiful. I am adorable. I'm cute. And what you're saying to me about my ugliness is absolutely not true. It just doesn't represent reality. We don't have a filter for that. So it gets lodged in, and we just go, oh, that very impressionable adult in my life said I'm ugly, therefore I must be ugly. And we can grow up our whole life, and even into adulthood, agreeing with what we heard them say about us. You're an idiot. You're stupid. Oh, I'm not stupid. Actually, I'm very smart. We don't have the filter for that as a child. All kinds of things that get lodged into our minds as kids that ultimately they become belief systems. We make choices to agree with those beliefs because we don't have anything to counteract it. And so then we oftentimes grow up our whole life believing things about ourselves that are just not true. Some of us today are still suffering from something that someone said to us. I mean, if you traced it back, you can trace it all the way back to your childhood. Somebody impressionable said to you, you can't sing well. They didn't really mean that. They just meant, would you please stop singing because you've been singing for like an hour and a half and I can't stand any more of your singing, so would you please stop singing? It's driving me crazy. And it's not actually your singing, it's the fact that my day at work was completely stressed out over here, but I imported all that stress into my home environment, and the fact that you're singing, it's just one more piece of noise in my mind I can't stand, so please stop singing. You don't sing well. And all I heard as a kid is, you don't sing well. And so we've grown up our whole life believing that we don't sing well. So those belief systems that get forged in us early on are oftentimes the result of little things that people have said to us. Maybe they didn't even mean to say, just sort of came out in a moment of crisis even. But it lodged in our minds, and we create an agreement with ourselves that then we begin to live out in a system of belief about who we are. So I want to talk to us today about how to have impeccable thoughts. What does it mean to have words that are impeccable, that are always on target? So let me give you a couple things here. These are super practical, and most of us won't leave here going, my goodness, I learned so many new things today from Ted with all of his wonderful words. So here you go. Use your words to build others up. It's one of the ways that our words are always on target, is if we're concentrating and focusing on building other people up with our words. A couple ways to do that. Just don't gossip. Don't talk about other people. It's so funny, isn't it, to hear, sometimes I get to hear this, you know, I talk to your kids every now and then when I see them, like, come through the kids' checkout. And it's like, hey, how's it going? Good. You guys going to have a good Sunday? Yep. It's like, how's your mom and dad doing? They're doing good. Like, what are you going to do after church? I don't know. My mom and dad said it's going to be really long today because it always is. All right, let's see what we do about that. It's amazing what I can find out about you just by talking to kids. Our kids, they say what they hear us say. We gossip about people our kids gossip about. They don't even have any basis for it. They just talk about other people. So don't gossip. Don't talk about other people. Most of the time we don't know other people's story. We don't know what it is. Peg reminded me this the other night. We were at dinner and it wasn't going very well. Sometimes it doesn't whenever God wants to help me grow. And it just wasn't starting off very well. And I was kind of getting frustrated. And she said to me about the person who really wasn't going well. But she said, you know what? You don't know their story. I'm like, you know what? You're so right. We don't. But our judgments about others will oftentimes cause us to say things about them that we don't know that are based on truth. So don't gossip. That doesn't build anybody up. Don't tear people down. Oh, we can do that so easy with our words, can't we? We just throw something out, we lob something out. We know it's going to land with like a little concussion, but we do it for effect. Sometimes we do it even in our relationships. Because, you know, when we get hurt, we lash out, and so we throw a little verbal bomb out there, a little word bomb. We know it's going to hit and land. We know there's going to be shrapnel that's going to go off from it. So, don't tear other people down. Build other people up. Don't speak evil on anyone. Man, especially when they're kids, you know. Speak good into them. Speak positive onto them. Let them know they're bright. Let them know they're beautiful. Let them know they're talented. It's amazing what we can speak into and onto other people. And they have no filter, no defense mechanism for it whatsoever. Look at this passage of Scripture in Ephesians chapter 4. Paul is writing some great wisdom to us. He says, don't let even one rotten word seep out of your mouths. Don't let one rotten word seep out of your mouth. Now, when I was growing up in the Bible belt, the buckle of the Bible belt, zipper, right near the buckle of the Bible belt, we had all kinds of like code words, code cuss words, right? Where you were allowed to say them, but it wasn't quite the same. Like you could say dang, and it wasn't the same as saying damn. You could say heck, wasn't as intense as saying hell. Say shoot wasn't the same as, right? We could say gosh, but we couldn't say God. Oh my gosh. We couldn't say oh my God. God would strike us down and send us to hell. And so in our little world, we couldn't say a lot of curse words. It wasn't permitted. But we could say bad things about other people. That seemed to be just fine. Right? Paul says, listen, don't let one rotten word of any kind seep out of your mouth. Instead, offer up only fresh words. Fresh words. Life-giving words. Words that have energy in them. Only fresh words that, look at this, build others up when they need it most. He's not talking about curse words here. He's talking about cursing someone else's good life. That way your words, your good words, will communicate grace to those who hear them. So important that we be givers of grace in our vocabulary and what we say. One of my very, very favorite things about my computer is, I don't know if you probably have this if you're a Mac person. There's a command button right here. It's like a little clover. It's the command button. If you work on a Windows machine, you probably don't have anything remotely close to this sort of technology. Anyway, command button is awesome because you can do things with it. It'll like do something powerful. And so I do like a Command Z. It's my favorite thing on the computer. You know what it is? Undo. Right? Command Z. It's like you type something and it's like, that's wrong. Command Z, undo. Or you erase something. Oh, I didn't mean to erase that. Command Z. Oh, puts it back. Wouldn't it be great if we had like a verbal Command Z button? A verbal undo? But like, have you ever said something to someone and then wished all of a sudden, I'd like to be able to retract all of that right back in there. Command Z, undo it. That would be so awesome. But you can't. Once it's out there creating. I do know someone that when they say something they wish they hadn't said, out loud they'll just say this: delete, 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 delete. First couple times I was like, what the heck is going on? What the hell is going on? Anyway, all right, so here you go. Here's the second thing about your words and how to use your words. Use your words to express belief. Now, I probably should qualify that because the reality is all of our words express beliefs. All of them. Sometimes they express negative beliefs. They express doubt. So I probably should have qualified that to say, use your words to express positive beliefs. And two targets for belief. Express belief in others. Everybody I know needs somebody to believe in them. Everybody. We all need somebody who would look into our lives and find some piece of beauty, some piece of strength, some piece of talent, some piece of greatness in us and go, I believe in you for that. I mean, God did that. God doesn't look down on us and go, oh, guys, come on, get your act together. He's constantly saying, I believe in you. You make mistakes, I believe in you. You drop the ball, I still believe in you. Constantly believes in us. And one of the most powerful things we can do to others is to express belief in them. It creates a sense of agreement with themselves that their words have power and meaning and that their life has value and purpose. So believe in other people. Especially if you have kids in your life, believe in those kids. And this is the harder one. Express belief in yourself. What does it look like for you to express and communicate through your words belief in yourself? That you have value, that you have talent, that you have skills, that you have capability, that you have meaning and purpose in your life. You know what it is to make a commitment or an agreement to yourself and then keep that commitment. This particular agreement, this agreement of impeccable words, is the foundation of all four agreements, and it's the most difficult of all of them. Because our words go out and they create the reality that we live, and if we're not careful with our words and intentional with our words and deliberate with our words, we can end up creating a life we don't really want. And so as our words go out, and we create these agreements with our words and these contracts with ourselves, one of the challenges we can face, particularly as it relates to belief in ourselves, is that we don't think we can do certain things. How many times have you gotten up and said, you know what, today I'm going to do these 5 things. This is my day to do these 5 things. And you know, the day just goes crazy, it goes haywire. And not only do you get to like 3 of the 5, you don't get any of the 5. And you end the day going, what happened to this day? I thought I had more capability, more strength, more purpose, more endurance, more something, more discipline to do what I said I was going to do. Yesterday I had one of those highly productive domestic days where, you know, the honey list had been piling up for a while. And so yesterday I kind of started attacking the list, and it was one of those days. Started my morning with gratitude. Before my feet rolled out of the bed and hit the floor, I was thankful. I was thankful for 3 things that had impacted my life over the course of the previous 24 hours. And The next thing I did before my feet hit the floor was I ran down this mental checklist of about 5 things I needed to do to create peace and to keep peace in the Barrett household. And so I'm looking at the list in my mind. I'm like, I'm going to do that, and do that, and do that. And as the day started rolling out, one of the things I began to realize was the difference between laying in my bed and making a commitment to myself to do these 5 domestic chores and actually following through on them was at least 111 degrees. Because when I was laying in my bed, it was 77 degrees. And it was soft and comfortable. And I got up and I started getting out of the house, and I had left the house early, and it was already 100. By the time I got home and got to my checklist, it was 110. I was like, what was I thinking? But I started down the list, and I started checking them off. And by the end of the day, I was running for president. My capabilities were soaring, my talent was bursting, my energy was high, my belief in myself was unbelievable. I was mapping out all kinds of tours for the world and changing the world and solving all kinds of global issues and all of that. All because of my belief in myself, because I did what I said I was going to do. It's so powerful, guys. What happens to us is when we align our actions with our intentions. Inside of us, there is agreement. There is wholeness. We talk about integrity. What we're saying is that our outside behavior is aligned with our inside intention. That's integrity. And we talk about personal integrity. What we're talking about is I do what I say I'm going to do, even if what I say I'm going to do is about myself. So it's a powerful thing to believe in yourself. Listen to these words in Psalm chapter 34. This is such just great positive energy. If you love life, you want to live a good long time, take care with the things that you say. Have you ever put that together? Living a good life and living a long life are about what comes out of your mouth and into your head. Don't lie. Don't lie to others. Don't lie to yourself. Well, I constantly have to check myself. Am I being honest with myself? Or I have to check something that I've come to believe about myself. Is that really true about me? Don't spread gossip. Don't talk about improper things. I want to live a good life. I want to live a long life. And it's directly connected to my impeccable words. So use your words to express belief in others, but also in yourself. Here's the third piece today about how to use impeccable words. Use words that communicate love. Use words that communicate love. I think it's becoming more and more open topic of conversation in our relationships where we're able to communicate our love for other people. It's powerful to hear other people say to us, I love you. It's powerful. Sometimes it's uncomfortable for us. We don't know how to process it. Maybe it wasn't said to us a lot when we were growing up. Maybe there's never been anybody sort of break through that wall of love. Maybe we've gone through that phase of life where we've been hurt by relationships and we didn't even know if we believe in love. And so consequently, when someone says to us, hey, I love you, we don't know whether they really mean it. We don't even know if there is such a thing as love. And so that wall goes up. But more and more, I think it's becoming more and more popular for us to give and receive words of love to other people. Sometimes I'll do it in the most random places. It really bothers my wife. But, walking out of the store, just saying to someone, hey, I love you. That you don't even know. It can completely wreck their day with goodness. The rest of their day is like, a total stranger said they love me. I doubt they would love me if they really knew me. But I love doing that. It's just like a love word bomb right in the middle of boom. And the whole, it's like, what? The other day, I got a text from my son, who's soon to be 18, and it was sort of late in the evening, I was in the phase of the day when, you got to check in with Dad every now and then and make sure. And he just said, "Hey, Dad, just want to tell you I love you." Well, as a dad, late in the evening, sun's out, rolling around, what's the first thing you think of?
What are you doing?
What's wrong? What'd you do? And so I said, "Hey, buddy, I love you too. Everything okay?" And texted me back and said, "Yep, it's all good. Just hadn't legit said that to you in a while." Like, all right, I'll take that. I like a little legit love coming my way. Using words to communicate love is very, very powerful for us. I'm thankful that we're in an age now where even, any gender, we can talk about loving each other. Many of you know recently we lost one of our friends, John Thomas. And John, every time that I would talk to him, whether it was here on Sunday morning or in a text message or on the phone, he always just finished by saying, "I love you." And sometimes he'd even call me out my full name. "I love you, Ted Beard." And it was powerful. It's powerful even now to think about the love that exists verbally when you make intention to communicate it. What it does in the environments of life. A couple passages of scripture about love. Communicating love with words means overcoming fear. And here's what's so powerful about this. Love has no fear. Love has no fear. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is fear. Because all hate is really based in fear. You know that, right? You see hatred exists in the world between two countries or two ethnicities or whatever it is. That's not a lack. That hatred is based in fear. We're afraid of the other. There's something about the other we don't understand, so we're afraid of them. That's why John's talking about love, and he says that love, in complete love, there's no fear. Love, perfect love, complete love, expels all fear. We're afraid. It's for the fear of punishment, and it shows that we have not fully experienced complete love. So, how hard do you find it to express love with your words? It doesn't even have to be those three little words, "I love you." It can just be words of love. Loving words, affirming words. But it's very important to take the time to do so. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 25 says, "The weight of worry drags us down, but a good word lightens our day." It's so true, isn't it? Stress compounds in our life, and before long we end the day and we feel so weighted down. And someone comes along and says, "Hey, I love you." The power of a word well spoken. So use your words to communicate love. And then here's the last one today, guys. Use words to create new life. Do you know that your words are generative? That when you say something with your words, they actually create something? They can create a greatness, a beauty, a joy of life, or they can create calamity. We have the choice as to what our words are going to create. Proverbs chapter 18. Love this passage of scripture. I have this written down in several places in my life. Your tongue has the power of life and death. Your tongue has that power, life and death. You probably have noticed that in your relationships at times. You can drop the right word, the right phrase, the right sentence in a conversation, and life springs up out of that. The relationship goes to a new level. We also probably have experienced the moment of taking our words, using the power of our words and creating death. We get hurt, so we lash back out with words of pain and injury, and that other person on the receiving end of our words, death comes to the relationship. The relationship dies a little bit. So you can use your words to create new life. There's power there. And we get to choose. James talks about this. He talked about the tongue a lot, and the way we use our words a lot. He's such a practical writer, the book of James. He says, ironically, the same tongue can be used both as an instrument of blessing to our Lord and Father and a weapon that hurls curses upon others who are created in God's own image. He gives us just a little picture. One mouth streams forth both blessings and curses. My brothers and sisters, this is not how it should be. So, when you think about the life you're living, if it's not where you want it to be, if it's dark, it's pain-filled, you have the ability with your words to create new life. The people around you, you can use the power of your positive words to create for them new life. Use your words to create new life. I'm so grateful that God gave us the gift of these words, what they represent to us. A word well spoken can radically shift someone's day, even someone's life. How are you using your words? How are you using the words that come out of your mouth, and how are you